Good morning, everyone. Before we start the program today, we have a small safety briefing for you. You know how important it is, our safety. So we're going to play the video for you.
We are Gainwell.
Workplace safety.
We at Gainwell strive to create a safe and healthy workplace for our employees. And we believe they are our vital resources and assets. Hence, to protect them is our fundamental responsibility. Involving fire and any other threat, please make sure that you are aware of the nearest exit area. Please do not use lift in the event of emergency. Ground floor has 4 exit areas and first floor has 2 exit areas. Please so make sure that you hold the handrail while you are ascending or descending the stairs. If you are carrying any object, please make sure that it do not block your vision of the stairs, as it could result in a trip or fall. Fire alarms are installed at the office premises, and nearest fire extinguisher is strategically positioned near the area of exit. Now we are on the first floor. Multipurpose meeting room has 2 exits. In case of any disaster, people can take exit and stand in the assembly area. At Gainwell, nominated fire marshals or wardens conduct periodic evacuation exercise to prepare employees for exit awareness and information on do's or don'ts in emergency. We want every employee to be safe and reach home safely every day. We request everyone to be present in the meeting. Please switch off your mobile phones or keep them in silent mode. Please share your ideas. We keep on exploring new ideas and promote continuous improvement. We encourage open communication. Be open-minded. Avoid side conversations. We request everyone to follow the values, ethics and stick to the compliance. Our reputation is built on not only what to achieve but how to achieve it. In case of emergency, you may contact on following numbers. Gainwell has CPR trained staff.
Well, wonderful. Just to reiterate, our 2 closest exits are that side and that side. Mr. Rishpal Sharma, can you raise your hand for everyone, please? That's our person in charge. If you have an emergency, please get in touch with him. There are fire marshals in this hall. Can I also ask people who are CPR trained to please raise their hands? Wonderful. You know you're responsible if things go wrong. With that, a very, very good morning to everyone. People who have joined us here today in person, as well as everyone who's joining us online. Welcome. It's my pleasure and great honor to extend a very warm welcome to you on this momentous occasion for Gainwell, where we celebrate our achievement in creating one of the 7 buildings in the world to receive LEED Platinum 4 certification. Big moment for us. I remember a time, as I know you do, where this building didn't exist. Instead, there was only just sand. It's the vision of our great leaders. It's the creativity of our executors and the team that has worked day in and day out to make our vision come true. I know as I look around the room and see the look of pride on everybody's face that our hard work has today paid off. Spread over 5.16 acres of land, Unnati has been designed with the vision of creating a sustainable and inspiring workplace with minimal ecological footprint and energizing work environment where one does not feel restricted in thought or in movement and where one can ideate and collaborate with their teams freely. With Unnati, we at Gainwell reinforce our commitment to being future ready with a keen eye on improving the world around us and the environment as well. So without further ado, may I ask our CMD to please come on stage and open our ceremony for us.
Good morning, and good morning to all of you, those who are seeing us from different parts of India and outside. A very warm welcome to this morning, which is a milestone day for us in Gainwell. It's a journey which started on 24th of June 2016 when we purchased this piece of land for creating our Northern India facility. And today we are having achieved a major milestone of being branded, being graded in our office building as LEED Platinum version 4. It's a huge leap for us as a company. It's a huge leap for us as people, as a group of people who are responsible and sensitive towards our ecological responsibilities. Very warm welcome to Mr. Gopala Krishnan, Managing Director of GBCI, Mr. Mukhija, our friends from EDS who have supported us in this entire effort, Mr. Ashok Lal, architect and a friend who has been the moving soul behind this entire enterprise, in this entire effort, and all of you to this very, very important event in our life. When we began this journey sometime in June 2016, we had dreamt of creating a very good facility in the north. Those of you who have been with the company longer than 2016 know that we used to have a facility in another part of suburbs of Delhi in Saibabad, which was very good for our customers. But that was not part of the transaction when this entire company migration took place. And therefore, to serve our 6,000 customers who live in this part of the country, or who operate in this part of the country, we wanted to create a facility which would be very good in terms of technical aspects, which would be very good as a workshop, as a component rebuild center, as a machine rebuild center, as a parts depot, and rest of the things. But when we began this journey and we looked around for finding someone who can support us with that, an architect being the first one, I and Meena, both of us approached Ashok, our friend, to say, Ashok, you do internationally acclaimed work in sustainable housing. Can you suggest to us somebody who can help us with a modern industrial building or setup? And Ashok said, what about me? And so we said, of course, if that is possible for you to but we thought your experience was, and that was it. I think rest is history. Where we are sitting today is the complete creation of Ashok Lal and his team. And I think we owe it to him that we give him a huge round of applause today for getting us to this milestone. It has not been an easy journey. Ashok knows about it. Many a times Ashok and I, and Ashok and Meena and I, we all disagreed on how this structure should come up, what should be the shape and size. Almost in 99.99% cases, Ashok overruled us. And we are so happy and we are so privileged that he did that. If he had not done this, we would not have reached here. So we really, really feel that this entire infrastructure, this facility has been created because of Ashok's passion. Of course, Meena and I, we always felt that, all our machines, if the business that we do, it's for a larger human good. We all know. We create infrastructure. We provide energy to people. We provide mobility to people. We do underground mining operations. Everything is for good of the human race. But then, in the process, to fulfill that larger cause, we also disrupt nature. We destroy trees. We outrage Mother Earth in multiple ways. Our machines do. But that's for a larger cause, so we have to do it. But it brings a very large sense of responsibility on our shoulders to give back to this earth, Mother Earth, whatever we are taking away, in whatever measure we can give back. I know it is very difficult to give back the entire thing. And therefore, we wanted to create an infrastructure which is ecologically very responsive, where not only do we create a happy workplace for all our employees, all of us, but we also, when we peep out of our window, we see some green. And we see, our carbon footprints are minimum. Every day human race is polluting the earth, and there are, everybody of us has to be responsible towards giving back to this earth something in terms of the manner in which we live and we conduct ourselves and we come to our workplace. So that was the vision. Thanks to Ashok adding huge value to this entire effort, we have reached here. And we are now one of the 7th building in the world which have been given LEED Platinum version 4 certification. It's a huge honor for us. It's a huge honor for us. Many of you know that there are only 5 such buildings in the US. There is one in France, and perhaps is the only building in the rest of the world, rest of the universe. So the hard work and you have, as employees, as colleagues, you have undergone a lot of suffering because this building while it was still under construction, we just came here. Each one of you has contributed. Many of you have suggested changes, modifications, what kind of trees, plants. But, my friends, this is just the beginning. Today is the day of a new beginning, because this effort is not about creating a structure which is very responsible ecologically. It's about creating a culture in the manner in which we live, work here, and the manner in which we take some of these ethos and these values home and we try and replicate them there as well. When we say no smoking in this complex, we are trying to nudge you to say, quit smoking, it's not good. Don't smoke anywhere. Why are you smoking at all? And when we say don't waste water, 100% water is recycled, we are telling you, please don't shave while your water tap is on. Don't do that, because somebody else is deprived of water somewhere in Africa. So don't say that India, I'm living in a water pool, so there's no problem. Everybody has to contribute bit by bit to make this earth sustainable for the rest of the people. With this, I once again very warmly welcome Mr. Gopala Krishnan, Mr. Mukhija, entire EDS team, Ashok and the entire team, and huge compliments to each one of you for supporting us to bring us up to this point. And my sincere thanks to all our employees who are here, all our colleagues who are here, and our friends, those who are watching from different parts of the world. It would not have been possible for us unless I make this special mention of the technical designers of Caterpillar who supported us with this facility. They have been extremely, extremely involved right from day one in this entire thing. So here we are, not only LEED Platinum version 4 building, but also as one of the finest dealership technical infrastructure anywhere in the world. And we are very, very proud to be having this with us. And we serve 6,000 customers from this location. So thank you very, very much once again. A very warm welcome to this stay.
Thank you for your words, sir. May I now call on stage our creative director for this building, as well as our dream creator, as we like to call him, Mr. Ashok B. Lal, to tell us what our journey has been.
You want to bring this on? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Next. Yeah, thank you very much. Well, Sunil has so profusely already talked about the commitment of the company. I should talk about the support that we eventually received in pursuing our goals. And if we hadn't that kind of support in pursuing our goals, and if we didn't have the responsibility of delivering, I don't think we would have done the job. But I think much more importantly today, I'm now just been thinking about it, and I say, I see GBCI, I see the Unnati and Gainwell community, I see us designers, and I see the specialists who monitor and measure environmental performance. It is about a community that reinforces that culture. And it is this togetherness as a community that makes it work. These values are shared, and each one, according to our particular roles in supporting these values, has something to do, and that is what makes it move forward. And I would then invite all of us, individually and collectively, to first experience and enjoy a quality of a working environment and understand what our behavior should do and what the building does or the campus does for us to minimize its ecological footprint. First experience it, and then broadcast the idea to others. That's how it becomes understood. If I talk to people here, there, and I tell them about it, I don't get anybody's attention. But once I get people to experience it, or if I experience it myself, then actually I don't need an explanation anymore. I understand it. So I think I invite you to do that. Very briefly, I'll take you through some of the principles of the design for the campus and for the building, which has been given, the office building, which has been given this fantastic award. Well, as you all know, it's a long, narrow plot of land in an industrial zone in Greater Noida, where we are located. And to the front of it, I haven't got my pointer, there's a pointer here. Yeah. To the front is the office building, this is the main road. Then there is a big industrial shed over here. We are actually in this part. This is 3 stories of construction to the height of the industrial shed. And then there's another industrial building at the back, and there's open land for handling outdoor activities, and some land left over where we are building a small ecological zone. So that's the overall view of what we've got. Well, the challenge was to produce a safe, healthy, and productive workplace of minimum impact on the environment, minimizing greenhouse gas emissions. I just want to dwell on this technicality a little bit. We now know that approximately 35 to 40% of greenhouse gas emissions which cause global warming and climate change are produced by the construction and operation of our built environment. Okay? So it's a very substantial chunk. The rest is industry, that may be forestry, agriculture, and so on, but this is a very substantial chunk. How do you reduce greenhouse gas emissions? Principally by reducing the consumption of electricity that is produced by using fossil fuels. Principally. Since for at least the next 20, 30, 40 years, we are not going to get out of fossil fuels, it looks like. Even our machines are dependent on those, right? The one thing that we can do is to achieve our workspaces, our living spaces, with comfort and safety in a manner that minimizes the use of electricity. So that's greenhouse gas emissions. The next thing we have to do is protect the commons. What are the commons? The commons is the common property of all of the living world. The air, the water, and the earth. It belongs to all of us. It's not exclusively a property of anybody. So we have to protect the commons. That means don't pollute the air, don't pollute the water, don't pollute the ground. So that's the second thing we have to do. And these two broad strategies are what determine the design strategy. So, energy conservation, that means conserve energy where it is needed so that you can distribute the available energy to everybody. Conserve it. And when you use it very efficiently. Conservation and efficiency go hand in hand. That's one important thing. And it is applicable to the industrial workspace as well as to the office workspace. We can also harness solar energy because solar energy is clean. It doesn't produce greenhouse gas emissions. And this is a big thing. Now this thing has gone off. It's come back again. This is a big thing. A huge commitment of Caterpillar and Gainwell here. Huge commitment to invest in how many megawatts do we go? 1 megawatt? 1 megawatt solar PV plant is installed on the roof of this building. And that effectively takes care of about, I think, 60 to 70% of the energy requirement of the office building. Okay? And that's now been installed. And luckily, because our institutional systems and our electricity supply institutions have become a little bit more sophisticated, we are able to have a connection, a feedback connection, net metering connection now. We are able to have that kind of an arrangement. So it is now becoming workable. So here is an important thing that if it is possible, if you can work out a financing model for it, go for clean energy. And then finally, even if it is an industrial zone, even if it is an industrial complex, try and sequester carbon from the air. That is, grow as much plant material as you can wherever the opportunity arises. So here it is on the roof, on the front, even on the narrow edges, but grow it, and also at the back. And then all of these things you put together in an integrated system. Similarly with water. I won't explain this diagram, but what it says is you draw water from wherever you draw it, you use it efficiently. After use, treat it. When it is treated, recycle it as much as possible. When it is all used up and there's still more water left, send it back into the ground. Recharge the water table. Make sure it is clean. The industrial effluent is also treated to a higher standard of cleanliness before the water is used again. So this is one way of making sure that we don't pollute the ground and pollute the water. Similarly, any waste, whether it is organic waste or inorganic waste, metal waste or any other kind of waste, the campus is now taking full responsibility of taking that waste, treating the organic waste so that it can be composted. We are still in that process. We have to make that happen properly. We have a canteen. We have other kinds of organic waste. And all industrial waste is responsibly disposed of, either recycled or sold into places where it would be recycled. As you know, all of you, I think, that the office building is a simple square building with a square courtyard in the middle. And the reason why it is like that is that every room, every workspace must be connected to the outside. You should be able to look out, you should be able to look out into the garden, you should be able to receive daylight. When the weather is nice and the air is not polluted, hopefully that will become better in Delhi and in the surrounding areas, you can even open the windows. Right? In winters you should be able to do that. So that's a simple principle. Don't make the buildings too deep, Keep them such that you have access to the outside light and air. And then protect it from the heat. Insulate the roof. We built a roof garden on top. In fact, as we were coming across just now, we noticed that the ceiling of the unoccupied floor was actually cool. It is cool because of the garden upstairs. All right? And that's protecting even the lower floor. And then you insulate the external envelope too. Have windows that are well insulated. So you don't allow the heat in the hot season to come in. You restrict it coming in. If you restrict that heat coming in, it means that you have to do less cooling. If you have to do less cooling, it means you have to do less air conditioning. If you have to do less air conditioning, it means you have to use less electricity. That's where all this integration into the building fabric becomes important. Terrace garden, wall insulation, even the underside of the floor is insulated. And then we decided to integrate this whole system with the ducting system, where the external wall is actually a box construction using an insulated panel that gives you a light shelf for shading against the sun, for reflecting daylight in an even manner across the space. It allows you to do that. And it adds to the insulation too, like this. We studied how the sun moves around the building, and we tried to make sure it doesn't quite work 100%, but I think it works about 85%, that with the projections and the depths, etc., round the year when it is warm, your windows are shaded. Most of the time they are shaded. And then there's a strategy for cooling depending on the season. Right now, there's one strategy at work when it is dry and very hot. When the season changes to the mid-season, April, say October, November, April, March, April, there's another strategy. Reduce the amount of cooling that you need. Increase the amount of ventilation. And in winters, no air conditioning to be used. In fact, you get a bit of sun to warm the space up, and internally you can also enjoy, because you're insulated, the heat that is produced by people working inside actually warms up the space. So you don't need much heating. Maybe for a couple of weeks in January, you need to do some active heating. Here's a little thing that we've done in the workstations in the office building, is that we say that you must keep the set point temperature for the office building to around 26.5 degrees centigrade. Most of us will feel comfortable in that temperature. But if you are not comfortable, we give you a fan under your table, like the fans in your cars. You can switch on that fan for yourself and enjoy greater comfort if you so need it. So it gives you some personal control on your comfort environment. A very simple way of getting comfort. Well, and the entire building is designed in such a way that it is possible for us from time to time, depending on our needs and the changes in the organization, adjust the interior layout as and when necessary. All the integrated systems of cooling, air conditioning, lighting, and communication systems, fire detection and alarm, are planned in such a way that this flexibility is available. Finally, the courtyard, the pergola around the roof and the roof garden, and the front sheltered little space before you enter the building are supposed to be like a way of modifying the immediate microclimate outside the building. So that when you move from the outside to the inside, you go through a modified space, feel a little more comfortable, and as you go into the entrance, it is not as cool as the workrooms. As you come out, you also go through 2 stages of transition. The idea is that your body doesn't suffer a thermal shock. You know how it is when you move in from the outside into a chilled, air-conditioned, 5-star hotel? You get a headache immediately. So you have to have a gradual transition from the hot to the cool space. The other day we came and saw what it looks like at night, and we're still working on it. Here are some pictures of the inside, and that tree is beautiful. It says a lot on the wall. We've also put in a trickle fountain in the courtyard. This trickle fountain is also a cooling device, by the way. As the water trickles down, it evaporates, the air around this cools, and the pool water becomes a big cool store, cooling the earth around it, and the courtyard itself becomes a cool space that you look out into. And that's where we are at today. Finally, I'd like to spend 1 minute encouraging all of us to participate in fully utilizing the potential of this design and this building, to drive it to further efficiency and higher performance. Ask questions and contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I know we stay in this building all the time, but looking at this just gives me such a glow of pride. Something extraordinary we've achieved together. May I invite our JMD to please come on stage and talk to us about her expectations through our journey.
Thank you, Akanksha. A very good morning to all of you, our distinguished guests, my friends here, and those who are at Godrej Waterside in Calcutta, and others who are glued to their computer, hopefully watching what is going on and taking a lot of pride in it. It is my privilege to come here and share with you the human story behind this exercise. It is very important because at the end of the day, it's all about human beings. It's all about the happiness, maximization of the happiness of all the human beings who are associated with Gainwell and with Unnati in particular. Now, this story, let us start at the beginning. It was on a very hot, dusty summer afternoon when I was not officially a part of Gainwell, then called TIPL, and Sunil was the managing director. And one fine day we realized that if at all we have change of management, we are not going to get the building at Shaibabad and the complex where almost about 160 people were sitting every day, day in, day out. And this came as a rude shock to us because we were always under the impression that we will have Shaibabad as a part of the deal. And that very day, we just said, let's go out and find a space where we can relocate ourselves. And we have a cheese and chalk personality difference. And 90% of the time, Sunil and I don't agree on anything. Whenever we see something, Sunil says, yes, and I'm a bit negative, and I said, no. You know? So we saw a number of pieces, and yes, our biggest constraint was money. We had no money in our pocket, only with a few lakhs in all the family accounts. We went hunting for a 5-acre, 6-acre piece of land in Noida, Greater Noida, Gurgaon, or wherever we could find. It was an uphill task. But when we saw this piece of land, there was a broken shed here, overgrown bushes, and couple of stray trees here and there. I don't know what happened. It was those 10% of the events where both of us said, this is it. You know? And of course, the money wasn't there, but all our worldly possessions we mortgaged, including the house that we were living in, to buy this piece of land. And then started this journey. My first reaction was that if 200 or 250 people have to sit in this building, my aim, my target is just that every Monday they would want to come back. I want to create a place where every Monday, each one of my Gainwell family member says, okay, it's time to go to my beautiful office, That somehow everybody who's sitting here should be having access to a little green tree or a bush or something green in her life, in his life, And secondly, as CMD has already said, we are unfortunately or fortunately in a process where to create, we have to disrupt Mother Earth. And this is, another thing. Some of the values, of course, Sunil and I are always aligned. That's how we are together for 30 years. And one of the values was that we are going to leave as little carbon footprints as possible. We didn't know so much, which since then Ashok has taught to us. But at that time, we were very clear that there is something like carbon footprints, and we have to minimize this while creating Unnati. And of course, a friend of 40 years, now we've known each other, Ashok and I, for 40 years in Sunil. And I said, this is a very celebrated green architect, but I don't know whether he'll do industrial buildings or not. And lo and behold, he accepted our challenge. And, this would not have been possible at all. This dream would not have been realized had Ashok not helped us. Not only is he a celebrated green architect, he is also, a man who shares our values. And thirdly, he's a very good human being himself. So I think somewhere this gets reflected in what he and his team have created. And I will take 2 minutes off to say thank you to Ashok on behalf of the entire Gainwell family. That's it. Ashok, this is nothing but a Madhubani painting which is created out of vegetable dyes by the one of the leading artists, it's just to say thank you to you, and we've been wanting to do that for a long time. Please.
But I think, just give me half a minute to say this is on behalf of all the people in my office, especially Rakesh.
Rakesh, can we have you here? Rakesh, please come. Because Rakesh has been so critical in this entire thing. Please. Let's give him a big applause.
It really has to be, as I said, it's not only community, it's not team supporting one another. Thank you so much.
Another very important sharer of our dream and executing it is the Stellar Group. All of you who've gone around Noida, Greater Noida would see that half of this has been created by the Stellar Group by somebody Sunil and I consider as our mentor, that is Mr. Ravi Sethi, and his CEO, a young boy, Akshay Sethi, who had... Oh, Akshay is here. Please come, Akshay. Sorry, I didn't know. We were not expecting you. Come. This is Akshay Sethi. Honed and, his gray cells have been honed, and they have been this thing in Ivy Leagues of the world. And he brings his Harvard education back to his own country because his heart lies there. And it did not happen very smoothly in the sense that there was a very, very healthy discussion. There was a very healthy debate. And whether it was radiant cooling, whether it was TRIC walls, on just about everything, Stella team and Ashok's team, they were at loggerheads often, and Sunil and I used to sort of divide ourselves. Sunil would often be with Ashok and I would be with Akshay because I was running out of time and out of money. And to start with, this exercise required a little bit of extra money, although we understood very clearly that in the long term, the gains that we get will far, outdo the extra cost, additional cost. But at that time, we didn't have the money and nor the time because people were just standing out there. We didn't have a home for our employees. But eventually, because these were so well thrashed out ideas that they are sustainable, they are going to remain forever. And behind that, there were 2 billion brains which were working out and fighting out and debating. So, Akshay, thank you very much. And last but not the least, we had a very dedicated team from Gainwell. All the people were involved, but there were some people like Jayant is not here. Jayant Bhattacharya? He must be watching. He's watching it. Hi, Jayant. Jayant did a great job, and we had a very young, enthusiastic, temperamental, and very brilliant project head here, Sarang Mulchandani, who kept the entire game together, and with his young energy, enthusiasm, and dedication, we were able to pull this through in a very short period. That's only about 18 months. And at that time, it seemed very long because my, Gainwell family was standing out. We were in a rented building. We wanted to give them a home, ultimately to be part of. So. And in 18 months to create this, I think it's phenomenal. It is a very short period. And of course, all the recognition that has come now. And I proudly, like a mother hen, say we have created one of the 7 wonders of the world because of that 7 buildings like this. So, there are all these dedicated people who are dedicated to protection of Mother Earth, who are here to tell us that we may not have created the Taj Mahal, but we have created one of the 7 buildings which adhere to version 4 of LEED Platinum, and aren't we proud of it? You know, this is a dream, I think, which started long ago when Sunil and I were quoting each other, and we used to read Dushyant Kumar a lot. And one of the poems that he had was, जियो तो अपने घर में गुलमोहर के तले, मरो तो गैर के घर में गुलमोहर के लिए. So हम चाहते थे कि एटलीस्ट हमारे गेनवेल परिवार में हर एक जो भी आ रहा है उसके पास एक गुलमोहर का पेड़ हो जिसके नीचे वो एक किताब बैठ करके पढ़ सके. But this is not one-time exercise, as Ashok has said. This is something which has to be sustainable, which has to move on and on from generation to generation. Tomorrow I may not be there at Gainwell, you may not be there, but those who inherit this legacy must understand what we have created and take it forward. So, as they say, ab tumhare hawale Unnati sathiyon. It is the responsibility and it is the product of love of each one of the Gainwell family members, and I hope we will be able to keep it alive. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now call on stage Mariam to give us our LEED Platinum journey.
Hi, good afternoon all. Thank you for actually giving us the opportunity to come and talk about the LEED journey of Unnati. And I would like to start with so Paridhi is my colleague, and yesterday we were at the ITC Green Center. We do the existing building audits for them, and they are also LEED EB certified. So one of the questions her Dadaji asked her was कि भाई LEED करते क्यों हैं लोग, मतलब what drives them to go for LEED? And she asked कि मैं क्या बोलूँ दादाजी को, हम क्यों जा रहे हैं वहाँ पर? So then then one of the things that came to my mind was कि देखो भाई हम ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि we all do homeschooling. right? All of us, we are all educated to train our children, but there has to be a system where, you actually start ranking them, or you start giving them certificates for what, how they are, being educated. So LEED is one of the systems which gives you or sets benchmarks as to how you have to perform, and that is something I'm going to talk about today, about how we started with the LEED journey. So in May 2017 is when we registered for LEED, and we went for a split submission where we attempted the design credits first, so we got awarded for it in February 2018, and then in October 2018 is when we got the platinum certification for LEED for this office building. Sarang was very instrumental in helping us out, and I remember when we used to come to the site एंड सारंग को बोलते थे कि यार देखो यहाँ पर फिल्ट्रेशन, देखो फिल्ट्रेशन हेपा फिल्टर से नीचे नहीं लगना चाहिए. सारंग का वो वाला स्टैंडर्ड होता था, और हम जाकर के हंसते थे कि यार सारंग तो मतलब उससे नीचे बात ही नहीं कर रहा. सो ऑब्वियसली दिस हैज टू गो फॉर लीड. What is LEED is basically LEED is a certification, green building certification system, which is leadership in energy and environmental design. It has 5 rating systems. I think Gopal and Gaurav will be covering that later on. But it covers all the aspects of the building as well as the impact it has on the environment. So it sets benchmark in all these categories. And again, something that ma'am has already iterated again, that we are one amongst the 7 LEED V4 BD plus C NC Platinum certified buildings across the globe. And of course the first in the rest of the world, in all Central Asia. We got a very high score, and again something that we have emphasized is LEED V4 is one of the most difficult standards of the LEED certification system yet, and we have scored a score of 89 out of 110 points, again a commendable score. So LEED has several categories for which we, one was the integrative approach, which talks about building as a team, which is, the core thing, that before you start the design, all the people involved should be, gathered together. Location and transportation, where it talks about where your building is placed. It's not just about how your building is designed, but also where your building is placed, how are you encouraging people to use public transportation and all that. Again, we have got 15 out of 16 points, very, very good, score. Sustainable sites is how, the building is impacting the site. So whether you're doing rainwater harvesting, you're controlling the urban heat island effect and all these things. So we got 8 out of 10 points. Water efficiency, what kind of water fixtures, first of all, you're using. Then how are you reusing water? How are you using it for irrigation, for flushing, etc., etc. So we got 10 out of 11. So you can see the score. We are almost, getting full scores in all these categories. And the most crucial is energy and atmosphere, where we got, I don't know how many buildings would have got that, 30 out of 33, right? Then materials and resources is something which is a bit difficult to attempt in India. That's where we, kind of lagged. Otherwise, maybe we would got 110, 109 or 108 points. So indoor environmental quality is how all of you, experience the building, how comfortable the building is for the occupants who are using the building. So that is 10 out of 16 points, again, a very good score. Innovation, we have things like green education, how all of you are aware of what kind of a building you are using, and we again have got 6 out of 6 points. So again, a very good score, and it would have not been possible without the team involved during the design, during construction, and delivering the project. I would just take, because sir has already explained what the building is, I'll just talk in terms of numbers now, how we are performing against the global benchmarks, right? So in terms of, we have a very efficient envelope. We are using TRIC reinforced concrete panels, which are 3 times better than, a normal brick wall that is used for construction. We have a green roof which provides insulation. You have already experienced the magic of it, when compared to a normal ceiling. And then we have a double glazed windows across, across the building, which is 3 times better than a normal window. We have ample natural light within the building. We just have to be sure that we use it as a resource. Okay, that is something that Lal sir did today. That he opened the blinds a bit, he switched off the lights. This is something that needs to be, inculcated in all of us, and this will help us, achieving these or maintaining these 30 out of 33 points throughout. It's not just a one-time thing. We need to continue maintaining it, and that is something we need to, again, emphasize on. We have very good shading, within the building. Even if you open the windows, there's very less glare on your, desktops and screens, so you can use the natural light. We have, again, a very good efficient system, which is a radiant cooling system. It is 30% better than a conventional air conditioning system. We have a very good building management system in place, efficient lighting design. We have renewable energy, which is 100 kilowatt dedicated to the office building. So it offsets 40% of the annual energy consumption of the building just by using solar PVs. We did, very interesting energy simulations to quantify how much, energy will be used when the building gets operational. We did daylight simulations to see which are the spaces which will be comfortable and where the workstations will be placed. We did on-site thermal analysis to see the quality of construction. So where are the leakages? And there were points where there were leakages and they were rectified, before you all moved inside the building. So again, things which quantify or scientifically prove that the building you are staying in or you are occupying is actually how it is, working. So compared to a conventional building, we are 59% better than a conventional building. And out of that 59%, 40% energy is generated from solar PVs. So practically only 19% of the energy is taken from the grid. So this is, again, you should clap you clap for that. So again, in terms of water efficiency, we have low flow fixtures, so you have the dual flush, you have taps which give the same less amount of water in the same amount of time, and 40% more efficient than a conventional water fixture. 30% more savings from the STP water, that is treated and used for flushing, irrigation, and the cooling tower that is on the roof. In case you've not seen it, you should go and see it. Rainwater harvesting system, again, 100% of the rainfall is captured and harvested on the site. This was done prior to, when, during construction itself. So even during construction, we could, reduce the stormwater runoff and save on that. So compared to a conventional building, we are 40% better than a conventional building and 30% more water savings from STP treated water. In terms of occupant concern, and this is something which concerns all of you, you have 30% extra fresh air compared to a normal building where you will be going. So you have, a lot of good oxygen to breathe in. Individual comfort, you have personalized fans for your workstations, and you have very good views to the nature. So just open up the blinds, start getting access to the good quality views that have been provided to you. Again, in terms of even housekeeping, the chemicals that we are going to use in the building are all, certified products. In terms of material, we did life cycle impact, analysis, and we, scored in that as well. So the paints that have been used, the finishes that have been used, even the furniture that is there are all low VOC furnitures. There's a lot of occupant awareness. So, when you pass through the corridors, you have all these beautiful signages, graphics explaining what is happening inside the building and outside the building and how you're impacting the nature, right? So on the site, you have 100% native vegetation, you have permeable pavers. We are segregating the waste at the source. We have a no smoking campus. There's green transport, which we are, encouraging. So you have bicycle parking, you have shower rooms. So anybody who is, keen on using the public transport, you have all these facilities. You just need to, start using it. We have reserved parking for carpools, green vehicles, electrical vehicle charging points. We are very much connected to the metro station through the feeder buses, which takes you to the metro station. So overall, we have been able to reduce energy consumption by 59%, CO2 emissions by 59%, and water consumption by 70%. Yeah, great achievement. Yeah. So even during construction, this is not only about, the building, but also about what were the sustainable practices during construction. There was site barricading, to prevent air pollution, wheel washing to prevent. So these were some of the, measures that helps in air pollution, water pollution. There was stormwater management during construction. 100% of the construction waste was diverted from the landfill. And that's what makes Unnati the new global benchmark of sustainable and healthy buildings. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. May I invite Mr. Gopala Krishnan on our stage for the felicitation ceremony of our building. And everybody else, please.
I thought I'll possibly extend this by 10 more minutes. So I had a few slides to show, but I think being the last speaker, it's always a bit of a disadvantage because most speakers before me have already spoken what I have to do. So I'm going to make it very short. So, a bit of history to this. I think I met Mr. Ashok Lal a few months back at a Pune event. So he said, Gopal, you need to actually, the fifth one, you need to actually make a visit to Delhi because there's a wonderful building coming up and you need to participate in that. So at that time, I didn't know it was Gainwell. So, Mr. Ashok, first of all, thank you for giving me a prior invitation, possibly 6 months back. And so it's been a pleasure, I think, from whatever I've gone through in the last 1.5 hours at Gainwell. In fact, a very nice name, Chaturvedi, because Gainwell is all about how you gain from working here and how actually you climb on the wellness quotient. So I think, so with that, a quick introduction. So I'm from US Green Building Council, US GBC, and very aptly, I think we're just celebrating our 25 years in 2019. So this is actually our vision. I think Chaturvedi talked about the vision and mission of Gainwell. So this is a mission, this is a vision which we had 25 years back. So what this means is that we said that every touch point of a human being should be green, right? So we all live in residences. We may take a metro to work. We come to workplaces like this building. Our children may go to schools and colleges. We may go to a place of worship. It could be a temple, a church, or a mosque. We could go into a retail mall. We could walk into an airport, a station. Why can't all this be green was the vision we had 25 years back, right? So again, I'm not going to get into this. I think Mr. Ashok talked about why we want to go green, right? So you all heard about global warming. You heard about how India is a signatory to the Paris Accord, how buildings actually constitute to nearly 40% of the emissions. So there is a compelling reason for all of us to think about going green, right? So I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to skip all this, as I said, being the last speaker. And also, I think surprisingly, I don't know how many of you, this is not promoted properly, but I think in Piyush Goyal budget, when he presented the financial budget this year, I actually went into the site and then saw there was a vision document of India for 2030, which actually put a lot of emphasis on green, right? So whichever government is going to come to power on May 23rd, I think it's irreversible. They've actually set things in stone. So all this, they talked about pollution for India, renewables, electric vehicles, they talked about health and wellness. So all that is going to be inevitable. So with that, let me also share a few trends in the world on green. So we as USGBC, we actually do researches across the world. So this time, last year, we took close to 50 countries and understood what are the drivers, what actually drives green, what are the barriers to go green, etc., right? So just a few things. One is, very importantly, obviously, I think environmental regulations continue to be drivers of green across the world, right? So today, whether it is states or governments, they talk about you need to go green, there are incentives, all that. But more importantly, I think the second reason in the world coming is healthier buildings. I think today, all stakeholders do understand that it is inevitable that healthier buildings have to come. But most interestingly, I think when we did a thing in India, it is not about environmental regulations. It is about healthier buildings which are driving green. So I think we are not surprised. I think we know about the quality of air in Delhi. We know about the water distress, let's say in a place where I come from, Chennai, etc. So all that means that today as citizens, the drive towards green is because of whatever ill effects we are actually facing, right? So I'm going to again skip all this. And again, just to underscore, while initially when we started LEED 25 years back, it is all about good to have, the brand value, etc. But I think over the last 10 years, there has been a paradigm shift in the way green buildings are now getting to be incorporated. So it's all about today the economic value proposition as well. I'm sure that Mr. Sunil, when you started LEED, although yes, you wanted to create that healthy buildings back to your employees, but today CX is also asked about what does it make economic sense? Now I'm going to invest X money into this building, so based on the energy and water savings I'm going to get, now what is the payback period? Now it need not be 3-4 years, but people do ask questions. So what we did was to constitute a research group. We took close to 500 LEED certified buildings across the globe. And we said, okay, how much do these save on energy and water? What is the impact on employees working in the building as well? So we now have quantifiable research which leads us into quantifiable data as well. So it does bring down energy and water, and that's a saving back to the organization. It does positively impact the health of the occupant. In fact, we are seeing increasingly in LEED buildings absenteeism coming down. I think, ma'am, you made a wonderful point, right? It's all about, on a Monday morning, does the employee feel, yes, I need to go to work, right? So that's the essence of it, and that's exactly what LEED has been striving to make. So we did I'll skip all this. I think these are some data which, so this is interesting, right? So we actually did a research. This is actually more of a Northern America-led research, but we're going to do in India very shortly. But employees who work in LEED green building are happier, healthier, and productive. Right? So this is based on a quantifiable research, and so this is something which, so again, some data about what percentage actually talk about it. And again, I think as Mariam talked about, energy, water, waste, carbon footprint, human experience are the pillars of LEED. Okay, so now let me talk about what's next, right? So I think as USGBC, what is the way we are going to impact going forward? So what we did, I think Ms. Chaturvedi talked about how your machines are wired, sir, right? So what we did is we said, okay, technology is inevitable in the world. I think people talk about Industry 4.0, people talk about IoT, etc. So what LEED did a year back was to launch an IoT platform on the cloud. So what buildings can do is, you can actually feed your data. You may have a BMS, you may have a energy meter, a water meter, a carbon dioxide sensor, a VOC sensor. Now all the data, and this is on the cloud. So you just feed the data into that platform and you actually get a score. So whatever you score you see, let's say 55, is a score of it's a real-time score. So which means that score will keep on changing every minute, every second, every day. So why did we give that? Because we felt that LEED should not end with a certification on the wall. So as buildings, as communities, as cities, we need to monitor our data continuously so that whatever numbers Mariam spoke about, how can we keep improving? How can we keep the benchmarks going up? That's something which, Ms. Chaturvedi, I will request you to adopt as well in this building. So this is how it looks like. So you can get individual scores on energy, water, waste, carbon footprint, and human experience every day. And you can actually start, for example, today what people do in India is that some of the developers, they are putting in different buildings and understanding how do I compare buildings. There's a building in Bangalore, there's a building in Delhi, and how do I compare? What are the best practices which Bangalore is doing which I can take it back into Delhi, etc. So a lot of creativity which is possible through this IoT platform. And I'm more than happy. And a lot of analytics behind this, because today large corporates are actually also reporting carbon. So you talk about GRIs, etc. So this particular IoT tool comes with all that. You can actually set your carbon benchmarks and say, how can you do that every year, right? So that's the advancement we've actually brought to the table. I'll skip all this. Already 4,000 buildings across the world are actually subscribed to this IoT platform, and I would look forward to Unnati being part of it. So what are the other things we have done? We also launched a LEED for cities, because we said, okay, buildings are good enough, but that's not enough. At the end of the day today, each one of us live in cities, right? So we actually extended our LEED to a city. And this we launched again a year back. And in fact, we also worked with the MOUD at center very closely. So whatever the smart city indices which the government throws to you has also been incorporated into this. So 12 months back, we invited 17 cities in India to participate as part of a pilot. And one city in India became the first city to be LEED Platinum certified. Any guesses on which the city is? No? So let me give you a clue. It's western part of India. Absolutely right. I think she's got it right. Let me give an applause for that. So absolutely right. Now why Surat? Because this something is a predicament. So when we talked about LEED for cities, and to my US counterparts, they said, Gopal, are you sure that Indian cities can participate? We proved it. Now why did that happen? In Surat, we had all the data. So the municipal commissioner and his deputy commissioner, I think his name is Natarajan and somebody else, I forget. They were very keen. They said, we have all the data. We have per capita consumption of energy and water from the city, and we are more than happy to work with you, right? So they put up their hand and they became the first certified, and that is going to inspire many more cities in India to participate as well. Very much, absolutely. And I think they learned from all those, and I think they have actually set up a city which has given an example in India. That's Surat, as I said. Now, the next concept what we launched is LEED Zero. Now, I don't know how, some people might have heard about net zero buildings, right? Net zero building is a building which does not put any impact back to environment by becoming self-sustaining. We talked about solar. You have a plan of generating 1 megawatt, which according to 100 kilowatts, and 250, and that's going to possibly feed 80 to 90% of the office building consumption, is what you said. So what is LEED Zero? LEED Zero building can either be zero on energy, zero on water, or zero on waste. So let me explain let me take an example of energy. What does zero energy means? Which means how much does the building generate power to actually for its own consumption, plus, as Mr. Ashok very rightly pointed out, today majority of the power generation in India is fossil fuel. We call it as dirty grids, right? So even if Unnati, if you got a generation of power somewhere in India which contributes to green, you can take it back to the credit. So A plus B, whatever you're generating in this building, plus whatever you may be generating somewhere in India, if A plus B is equal to the consumption of Unnati building, we will call you a LEED Zero building, right? So again, this since it's data driven, the same technology platform will be used. So the minute you subscribe to that platform, we can help you to become LEED Zero. And again, I think Ms. Chaturvedi stole my line on the 7 wonders. So, so I think why not become the first LEED Zero building in India? So I think you should think about it, right? So this is about LEED Zero, and I'll skip all this. Yeah, that's my last part of my last couple of slides, education. This is something which we take very seriously. I think one of the slides I actually skipped because of time is the fact that one of the barriers for green buildings in India is about awareness. So people know about green, but they do not know what really is green all about, right? So what we did is all our 25 years of wisdom across the world, we put it into an online platform. And it's got various modules on energy, water. I think if somebody has seen in Khan Academy, it's very similar to that. These are excellent videos, which anybody can do. All the employees sitting here can subscribe to it. They can go into it, they can understand. So this is something which I would again urge Mr. Chaturvedi to consider. So again, we have different classes of education here. Some of your core team can actually go through the content and they can pass their exams. And whereas the employees at large, we can have something like a walkthrough, that's it, right? So that's that type of education. Because why it is important? Because green is evolving every day, every minute, right? So I think you as an organization should know what's happening. So that's the reason for this thing. And in fact, we have now extend this education portal to working professionals and students as well. So today in India, most of the architectural students and engineering students are going to be exposed to this. So we are going to make them use that portal. We are going to do in-person workshops so that they can then read about green and also pass their exams. And as part of our CSR, we are also now going to create a version for schools, and we are going to offer to schools free of cost. So we are going to train the teachers, and these are all very simple modules. So what we're going to do, tell a school is, take our modules, teach the students about green, and then take some projects within the school to make it a green school. As simple as that, right? So that's something which we are embarking on. In fact, EDS who are sitting here, they're also our education partners, and in fact, they do a lot of wonderful work for colleges as well. Again, I'll skip all this. So the other innovation which we have done, which could be interesting to Unnati and a lot of manufacturing thing across the world, is we also launched a new system called PEER, P-E-E-R. It's a first international rating on power. So for a manufacturing unit, how do you actually measure the resiliency of power? How do you measure the quality of power? How do you measure the redundancy of power? Both from a design perspective and from an operational perspective. So the first project to be PEER certified in India was the Delhi Metro's blue line. Was it, Gaurav? Pink line? Okay, pink line. Because incidentally, all the metro stations of Delhi Metro are going to be LEED certified. And Dr. Mangu Singh personally is pushing the agenda. So when we launched PEER, along with the Minister of Power at Sam Manaksha Center 18 months back, Dr. Mangu Singh asked us a question. Now, I have a lot of power outages in this line. Can I incorporate that? So we gave PEER to them. It is a pilot. And today, I think using PEER, I think the outages have come down dramatically. So this can be used by any building. It can be a stock exchange. It can be an airport. It can be a manufacturing unit, etc. Right? That's something which hospitals, very important. They can also use it. So that's one of the innovations we have done. So that ends my thing. So, those are the 4 points I talked about, what we can do in the future. Just to summarize, we talked about technology platform. We talked about the power rating. We talked about education. So as USGBC, we're more than happy to work with you on all that, including LEED Zero. And yeah, so I think just to reiterate, yes, I think, a few sound bites on this. LEED is the most rigorous green building program in the world, right? And like any other program, people, I think Gainwell works on SAP. You are aware that as SAP, they launch versions. Every year you have a new version coming out, which ensures that it becomes better and better. So what started as LEED 1.0 25 years back actually became 4.0 last year. It's a very rigorous one. And incidentally, we also launched 4.1 3 months back. So that's the type of benchmark we set. So LEED V4 is fairly a strenuous one. And to achieve a platinum under V4 is an absolute credit, not only to, so, obviously I think the entire stakeholders are here. It starts obviously from the Unnati leadership. So thanks to you, sir, for the vision. And as Ms. Chaturvedi said, it is just not for the team sitting here, it's a legacy for the future. And you are not only impacting the people sitting here, you are going to give a message to their families as well, right? So, this is going to make them think that why can't my home be green? Why can't my children's school go green? Why can't the place I visit go green? So I think thanks for that leadership. And I think in the morning, I think whatever I heard about, I think you talked about how people are your assets. And that's exactly what we are driving. We are talking about healthier buildings because even for LEED, we are going to take now people as a focal point. So I think somewhere, I think there is a confluence of ideas. And you talked about happy faces. And I was amazed to read about your inclusivity, sir. Thanks for your CSR efforts. And somewhere down the line, I think USGBC can also think about how we can intersect on a couple of your CSR initiatives. So thanks to your leadership. Thanks to Mr. Ashok for making sure this actually happens. And obviously to our partners, EDS, and you talked about the Stella Group and all the stakeholders here. A big thanks from all of us at USGBC, and thank you to the people who are listening to this particular event. And I think I'll be very happy if this particular event is going to spur the people who are going to be listening to this across the Caterpillar family, that why can't we also go green? Thank you. So I think with that, possibly let me congratulate officially by presenting the LEED certificate as well, sir. He's an engineer from Chennai, and he passed on his special regards to you, sir. And I'm sure that when he's going to be in Delhi next, he's going to visit your office as well. So again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
GBC team, EDS, Mr. Ashok, your team. Yeah, but I think one.
What's tonight?
Anything.
I think that might be. Yeah. Thank you. So, I have the pleasure today to give the vote of thanks. Please allow me to begin by thanking Mr. Gopala Krishnan, Mr. Gaurav Mukhija, and Mr. Gurneet Singh for their time here today. Not just your time, sirs, it's very important for us to know what our next milestone is, and for that we thank you very much for giving us a future vision. Please allow us to give you a small green offering from our side as a vote of as a token of thanks, please. Mr. Gurneet, please. Could we also have Mr. Ashok Lal receive a small token of our appreciation in terms of a green little plant? Sorry, we keep making you come on stage. I'd like to take the opportunity to also thank everyone who worked in making our dream possible here. Mr. Jayant Bhattacharya, Mr. Sarang Mulchandani, Mr. Sanjay Juwal, who is our head of workshop operations, Raktim Bhattacharya, who is our head for commercials and logistics, Ambalika Day, you see the beautiful brandings around you, they're all being done by Ambalika. And of course, we also have Mr. Rishpal Sharma, who's maintaining our entire estate for us with great rigor. Last but not the least, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today, everybody who's taken time out to be physically present here, as well as watching us online. as well as our Caterpillar counterparts who've been supportive throughout this journey of building such a beautiful infrastructure from scratch. We thank you very much. And congratulations, everyone, we did it. May I invite everyone to please join us for lunch. Thank you.